The hum of machinery echoed in the cavernous underground lab, where a sprawling array of monitors glistened like stars in the artificial twilight. Dr. Martin Alvarez, an enigmatic figure known for his seclusion and genius, stood at the heart of it all. His eyes glimmered with a fervor that only the discovery of a lifetime could ignite. Before him floated a shimmering, translucent cube, the Quantum Tesseract. It was the culmination of decades of work, a portal that defied the laws of nature as humanity understood them. It promised adventures beyond imagination and beckoned Martin into the cosmic unknown. Suddenly, the lab's communication console blinked to life. "Dr. Alvarez, are you there?" crackled a voice. It was Taranguayan, the technology liaison assigned to assist Alvarez. Her voice carried a mix of awe and apprehension. "We've got a reading, or rather readings from multiple universes." Martin's heart raced. "Are they stable?" he asked, his voice steady despite the gravity of the moment. "For now," Tara replied, her face appearing on the nearest screen. Her sharp eyes scanned data streams that seemed to defy logic. "But whatever you're doing, it's drawing attention. Others out there might not be friendly." Martin took in a deep breath, the magnitude of the situation sinking in. The invention, intended as a scientific marvel, was now a beacon in the uncharted vastness of the multiverse. Knowing the risks, Martin accepted that the journey ahead would demand courage and wits like never before. He had allies, but not all were within reach. "Gather the crew," Martin ordered, a hint of resolution in his voice. "We have to secure the Tesseract and ensure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands." Tara nodded. "Understood. But Martin, remember, once you step through, there's no telling who or what will be waiting on the other side." The words hung in the air as Martin turned back to the Tesseract. The unknown beckoned, and with it, a battle for the very fabric of reality itself. The stakes were high. Existence across countless worlds rested on their shoulders, and time was not on their side. In the days that followed, Martin Alvarez prepared meticulously. His underground lab became a hive of activity as the core team assembled, each bringing unique skills to the mission. Taranguayan, a tech prodigy with an unmatched knack for problem-solving, took charge of communications and systems management. Lucius Grant, an ex-military strategist with a sharp mind for tactics, agreed to handle security, knowing that unseen threats loomed with every use of the Tesseract. Amara Patel, an expert in theoretical physics and an old friend of Martin's, joined the team to decipher the complexities of multiverse coordinate mapping, her calm demeanor balancing Martin's fervor. The final member, Jin Chen, was a linguistics master capable of not just understanding, but communicating with potential interdimensional cultures. Meeting in the dimly lit conference room, their conversations were rapid, filled with simulations and contingency plans. "The Tesseract breaches dimensions," Martin started, addressing his team with the same intensity that fueled his discovery. "Every activation creates a ripple throughout the multiverse. We need to manage these incursions alongside the exploration." Lucius nodded, his arms crossed over his chest. "We're ready for whatever comes our way," he reassured, but underlying it was a question left unasked about their level of preparedness. Amara leaned forward, concern lining her young face. "Martin, there's data indicating subtle distortions. If other worlds are unstable, integrating with their timelines could introduce complications," she warned. The gravity of her words pressed on them, echoing the risks of meddling with forces beyond comprehension. Yet the Tesseract, pulsating gently, offered no clear path except forward. The first expedition came quickly. Dressed in specially designed suits tethered with quantum anchors for recall, they approached the Tesseract with cautious excitement. A soft hum began, a background lullaby mixed with the murmur of alien worlds. "Remember, our primary mission is to gather intel on this cosmic network," Martin reminded them as the shimmering portal seemed to expand. "We must learn what we're dealing with, understand who's out there, and assess any threats." Tara flicked a switch, and the air seemed to warp. "Coordinates locked," she informed them, her eyes meeting Martin's with encouragement. Taking a step forward, Martin felt a surge of energy, a shiver of possibility. "Let's make history," he said with quiet determination, leading them into the luminous unknown, as countless alternate realities awaited their first contact. As the team emerged on the other side of the Tesseract, the sense of awe was palpable. They stood in a world not unlike Earth, yet tinged with a strange ethereal glow that seemed to emanate from an azure sky. Gigantic towers twisted in the distance, their architectural designs defying logic and gravity. It was a place where the extraordinary was commonplace, and the laws of physics seemed to dance to an unfamiliar tune. Tara's voice crackled through their comm systems. "Everybody all right?" Martin glanced around, taking in the alien beauty. "We're good," he replied. Seeing his team firm either side of him, each member standing poised and vigilant, he felt a strong sense of camaraderie. "Keep the recall beacon primed, Tara," he instructed. "We might need a quick exit if things get dicey." Amara was already assessing the local physics, her portable quantum scanner buzzing softly against the landscape. "It's remarkable," she murmured, captivated by the readings. "This place, it seems to be in a state of dynamic equilibrium." As they advanced cautiously, strange and subtle vibrations underfoot drew their attention towards a group of local inhabitants that had begun to approach. They moved with a deliberate grace, their forms shimmering slightly as though the air around them resonated with some silent song. Jin stepped forward, unfurling his linguistic skills. "I'll handle this," he said calmly. He engaged the strangers in a tentative dialogue, bridging gaps in understanding with gestures and universal symbols. A connection formed quickly, each side sharing glimpses of their civilizations. The denizens of this world called themselves the Yether, guardians of transient reality paths between multiverses. They spoke of a truce once broken with a faction called the Vorlax, beings that thrived on chaos and sought to unravel reality itself. Lucius frowned, his tactical instincts kicking in. "More interdimensional politics," he remarked. "We might have stumbled into the middle of a multiversal Cold War." Martin nodded, the pieces of a larger puzzle slowly falling into place. The Tesseract wasn't just a gateway. It was a keystone in an ongoing battle for balance and understanding across myriad worlds. One of the Yether, a sage-like entity, approached Martin solemnly. Its eyes, swirling with countless shades of blue, seemed to pierce through his very essence. "The knowledge you seek comes with great peril," it intoned. "The strands of reality must remain intact. Guide them wisely." With a newfound burden of responsibility resting on his shoulders, Martin knew that they had only begun to scratch the surface of a much grander narrative. Now, more than ever, he was determined to ensure that humanity played its role wisely in the cosmic symphony. Returning through the Quantum Tesseract felt like passing through a stream of consciousness. Flashes of colors and memories flooded Martin, culminating in a soft jolt as reality settled back into familiar confines of their dimly lit lab. The team reappeared, invigorated yet sobered by the gravity of their encounter. "The Yether believe we're at the precipice of something massive," Martin spoke as they geared down. His gaze swept across his team, resonating intensity in their eyes. Their knowledge of multiversal paths could be crucial. Tara, ever the pragmatist, began analyzing the data from their venture. "We need to map these realities better, understand how each universe fits within the cosmic network." Amara was quick to agree. If these pathways are navigated irresponsibly, they could destabilize everything. "We need to find more about the Vorlax and their intentions." Lucius leaned against the conference table, casually poised, yet inwardly calculating. "Information is power. We should anticipate confrontations, align ourselves with allies wherever possible." Jin, meanwhile, was documenting the linguistics of the Yether, fascinated by the multitude of layers in their communication. "Their way of speaking integrates emotion with logic," he pondered aloud, "perhaps a necessity when dealing with complex realities." The crew spent the following weeks refining their technology, honing their understanding of this immense cosmic chessboard. Each venture through the Tesseract brought new insights, new dangers, and a growing sense of an unseen clock ticking down. Martin found himself particularly intrigued by the idea of dynamic equilibrium, a state the Yether had mastered. Could this be the secret to handling the overlapping realities without unraveling them? His questions were many, answers few, yet determination glinted in his eyes as he continued to delve deeper. "The Vorlax might see us as intruders," Martin noted one evening in a hushed conversation with Tara. "We need to prepare contingencies if they decide to target Earth." Tara agreed, her fingers dancing across the console as she tapped into simulations. "We've got the tech. Now we need more data," Real-time feedback could help us anticipate their moves. A beep from the system drew their attention. Another universe beckoned, its properties bizarre and enticing. The team gathered once more, a collective heartbeat poised to explore, to learn, and if necessary, to fight. Martin stood at the portal, passion undiminished. "Let's step forward," he declared, the glint of both adventure and duty clear in his voice. As they crossed into uncertainty once again, they felt the thrill of destiny tugging them onto a path of unimaginable discovery and perhaps redemption. The next universe was a stark contrast to the other's serene domain. The air crackled with unrestrained energy, a tempest roaring above while lightning stitched the furious sky. This world pulsed with an untamed ferocity, and Martin, with his team by his side, felt its overwhelming intensity acutely. "Stay close," Martin ordered, his voice barely audible over the cacophony. Here, nature itself seemed a chaotic symphony, relentless and unyielding. Yet, amid the chaos, ruins loomed, seemingly constructed and then ravaged by the very storms surrounding them. Navigating the tempestuous landscape, they encountered remnants of a civilization lost to time, structures made of metals foreign to Earth, etched with symbols of a bygone race. Jin knelt beside one shattered monument, tracing its lines with an almost reverent touch. "It's as if they communicated through architecture," he mused, his voice filled with awe. Tara worked diligently, capturing data from the environmental variables that hinted at the world's collapse. "This might be what happens when a universe loses its equilibrium," she speculated, adding to the growing hypothesis driven by their collective experiences. Amara deployed detectors, examining elemental compositions and structural changes. "Hints of Vorlak's technology," she announced, her findings more than mere speculation. Amongst the desolation, a pattern emerged, evidence of interference from the Vorlaks, deliberate manipulations to test the bounds of reality. Their suspicions that the Vorlaks were much more than passive entities intensified. "This was an experiment," Lucius said grimly, piecing together the evidence with the acute perception of a seasoned operative. Or worse, a warning. A chill ran down Martin's spine as he considered the implications. "We need defenses and alliances. The Vorlaks could exploit Earth's vulnerabilities, or worse." The team shared a silent understanding. Standing amidst the relics of a civilization extinguished, the weight of their mission loomed larger. Their work transcended mere science. It was a struggle against a potential cataclysm of universal proportions. As they rallied back at the now familiar glow of the Tesseract, Martin's mind raced with the enormity of their task. It was no longer just about exploration or discovery. It had become a campaign for survival across the tapestry of the multiverse. Returning through the gateway, the familiar confines of their lab welcomed them back. Each member reflected on their journey, painful lessons, and the beauty interwoven into every world beyond their own. They stood at the precipice of a grand struggle, driven by conviction and the unerring march of time that rose with every new dawn. In the dim glow of the lab, post-expedition debriefs had become routine. Yet this time, tension ran high. The Vorlaks' spectral presence loomed over their every thought, defining the mood with urgency and friction. Martin addressed the team, his voice layered with both fervor and a newfound gravity. "We can't fight blind. We need solid intel on the Vorlaks, methods, motives, and weaknesses." Tara, ever engaged with the data from their recent voyage, nodded. "I've been analyzing frequencies from each universe we've visited, and there are encrypted signals, perhaps a Vorlak's communication network." Amara joined her at the monitor. "If we can intercept and decode these signals, we might predict their movements." Jin, the team's language expert, leaned in. "Count me in. If these signals hold linguistic patterns, I can help us decipher them." Lucius, ever the strategist, remained thoughtful. "We need more than just information. We need alliances, ways to synchronize our defenses with compatible worlds." His pragmatic mindset was valid. In the face of multiversal complexities, humanitarian alliances might tip the scale. The following days buzzed with focused energy, a combination of problem-solving and delicate diplomacy. Martin spent long hours drafting potential protocols for unilateral coordination against common threats. Behind him, Tara and Jin worked tirelessly to decrypt and analyze the mysterious transmissions, every breakthrough inching them closer to understanding their formidable adversaries. As getting answers tiptoed around delicate balances, They employed the Tesseract for a diplomatic mission, seeking guidance and support from knowledgeable Yether allies. The journey this time was a calculated step not into boundlessness, but a precise meeting. In a new assembly, they introduced the Yether to the idea of peaceful coalitions against the Vorlax, highlighting the threats posed to their own world and possibly to others. Sharing knowledge was no longer an option, it was a necessity. "It's pivotal that we stand together," Martin articulated to the Yether oracles, his proposition infused with both humility and resolution. One of the elder Yether, its presence grand but ethereal, regarded Martin with profound depth. "Your intentions echo the unity we once knew. Caution and bravery walk hand in hand, young voyager. We shall share the lore of the Keepers." Encouraged by their support, the team realized they were not alone. They carried the spark of resistance against shadows threatening to annihilate the multiverse. Returning once again, emboldened by their burgeoning alliance, Martin felt a swell of hope. Despite the challenges, they were carving a path, not just for survival, but towards a fostered understanding of the interconnected web of existence itself. With the Yether's support and shared knowledge, the team stood at the cusp of a pivotal shift in their mission. Armed with partial encryptions of the Vorlax communication network, they found themselves deciphering more than just language, unraveling echoes of schemes stretching across realities. Terra's algorithms, honed through sleepless cycles, began parsing patterns beyond initial comprehension. Gathered around the central console, they absorbed the newfound insights, translating urgency into action. The Vorlax operate like an elusive shadow, striking universes showing potential for harnessing quantum forces, Terra noted, highlighting critical vulnerabilities minority universes exposed. Their targets, Jin added, are linked by evolving advancements in quantum tech, attracting Vorlax to realms approaching thresholds akin to ours. Lucius's jaw clenched. "This means we're precisely the kind of target they seek," he said, interlinking the data points with real-world implications. Amara had been silent till then, focusing on the science behind the threats. "Their technology mirrors a mix of quantum manipulation and brute force. If we reverse engineer their mechanisms, we can develop shielding technologies," she offered, enunciating possibilities drawn from the blurred line between empirical understanding and leaps of inventive intuition. Martin, invigorated by the team's momentum, started formulating proactive measures. "We'll harness innovations from our allies, adapting Earth's defenses for a multiversal oncoming." Through their relentless dedication, they upgraded the Tesseract. Now integrated with Yether's gleaned heritage, it offered triangulation capabilities to map and predict convergence points of interest across intersecting universes. Their morale buoyed by progress, they embarked on another journey, this time towards a parallel Earth seeded with cybernetic wisdom. Here, they navigated an intricately woven society symbiotic with advanced AI that cared for both structure and growth. The reception by local AI was skeptical but mutually inquisitive, facilitating a dialogue styled on harmonious coexistence. Jin took charge, bridging connections through philosophical exchanges rooted in shared responsibility. During this exchange, the team absorbed tactical enhancements, gifts of enhanced cyber awareness and systemic harmony from this visiting planet's inhabitants. They formed a pact, pledging mutual aid, mingling hope with strategic reality. Returning with fresh insights and alliances, confidence simmered just beneath caution, fueling collaborative spirit into the continuing campaign. "We have friends we didn't know a galaxy away," Martin surmised, eyes alight with the thrill of unity. "It's about preserving the collective potential, of understanding that we are participants in an extraordinary dance, free from autocracy." Adrenaline ran high within the lab, the weight of their roles cast under a new light. Not just wanderers, but as protectors, curators of the innumerable worlds threaded by a single filamentous cosmos, a sentiment resonating deeply with Martin, who saw endless possibility in their mission. As the Earth continued its spin against the vast tapestry of stars, the team concentrated their efforts with unyielding resolve. Every revelation, every alliance, painted a larger picture of strength in diversity against the encroaching shadow of the Vorlax. Among the complex web of connections, Jin made a breakthrough. "Look at this pattern," he said, tracing the flow of Vorlax communication signals. It aligns with points in reality where multiversal energy spikes, like the Tesseract's activations. Tara's fingers raced across the keyboard, synchronizing data from recent assimilations. If they're targeting energy spikes, they might be positioning for an incursion. Lucius quickly picked up on the strategic implications. They're preparing to use their technology to breach worlds, possibly testing weaknesses or seeking resources. Having pieced together a timeline, conversations now turned toward defensive strategies. Amara dove into her calculations, seeking countermeasures in the discovered tech. It might be possible to manipulate our own energy emissions, she postulated, to create decoy readings and disrupt their mapping. Martin stood at the focal point of their realized potential, knowing they were on the cusp of something pivotal. We craft illusions and dictate the engagements on our terms, he said, his mind racing with possibilities. We can turn their greatest advantage into their fallibility. Balancing between threats and knowledge, the crew developed a multitude of solutions. Quantum diversions, strengthened defense matrices, and alliances bolstered through shared intents. Each decision built upon strengths, stoking the flames of creativity with urgency. The hastily coordinated actions heralded an influx of change. Time became an arena of decisions. The real and the inevitable foreign ignited by choices and possibilities. As days turned into weeks, their headquarters transformed into a beacon of innovation and hope, a thriving hub that reflected the multiverse they aimed to protect. Each team member had grown through their trials. Jin found poetic beauty in the convergence of cultures and languages. Tara hammered abstract possibilities into practical code with unflinching dedication. Amara blended theoretical knowledge with newfound insights from their allies, while Lucius balanced hard strategy with the gentle charisma needed to weld the team. Martin was no longer just a reclusive scientist. He was a leader orchestrating a symphony. From ingenious sparks of human ingenuity and understanding, he molded chaos into coherence. They had achieved much, and yet, the monumental task remained, to protect and preserve not only their world, but the intricate multiverse from unraveling threats. Plans were evolving into actions, and soon the reckoning they sought to prevent would require them to face the outcome of all they had pieced together. Standing on the edge of what was yet to come, their conversations were alive with anticipation, because as guardians, explorers, and voyagers, they felt the call, a hum through their very cores, echoing the truth that once wouldn't have seemed real. They were ready. The calm before the storm settled over the team, a deceptive tranquility masking the crescendo of tension brewing outside their reality. Armed with a suite of strategies devised through intellect and alliance, Martin and his colleagues prepared for an inevitable confrontation with the Vorlax. In the lab, bright and sharp with resolution, Tara finalized the quantum decoys. "The countermeasures are set," she announced, fingers still adjusting parameters. "We can make our energy signature appear in multiple locations simultaneously across dimensions." Lucius interlocked with his usual steady calm, ensuring every defensive protocol was embedded and operational. "We'll dictate the engagement. If they come, they'll face shadows, decoys, and intricacies they can't comprehend." Amara's latest calculations added to a system in flux. "I've enhanced our quantum shields. They can absorb and rechannel the energy if a Vorlax assault targets our projected positions." "It's a symphony of physics," she said, her eyes gleaming with the scientific satisfaction of executing a polished maneuver. With Jin, every upcoming encounter was seen as an opportunity to deepen multiversal communication. "Even in conflict, there's room for understanding. We must remain open to negotiate should Vorlax principles emerge," Jin affirmed, optimism driving through veiled chaos. As they positioned themselves, a flux in local and supraluminal frequencies rallied a portent, a confirmed Vorlax push towards their coordinates. The Vorlax had set aside subtlety, tipping their hand, converging with urgency upon what they perceived as an unguarded realm ripe for harvest. "Here they come," Martin relayed as a surge of energy readings spiked across their instruments. The time had come not just to react, but to proactively preserve and protect. The air electrified with the tension of a reality poised on the precipice. Voices echoed, allies both near and transcendent, coalescing into distant murmurs of support poised to aid in subtle ways. United under shared goals, barriers collapsed, and coherent efforts ignited with purpose. A field of illusions formed around Earth, crafted by artifice and improvisation, served to divert and disorient the Vorlax. What once was a single vulnerable point refracted into many, converging towards one purpose. Martin felt the enormity of the moment, a breath held between the infinite and the finite, a soft exhale bound to gallantry, taking Earth's fate into its embrace. They had negotiated terms unthinkable among forces more ancient and calculating. Now, with senses attuned to everything, they faced the darkness that had once signified fear and now stood as a call to action. This was the embodiment of life uniting against entropy, coagulating into a protective stance of solidarity. In the silence before the outcome, their hearts beat as one with the multiverse, resonating hope and courage in the simple, undeniable truth. Together in purpose and resolve, they had the power to transform what was predestined. The battle was fought on an arena not of guns and knives, but of guile, wisdom, and the sheer tenacity of what it meant to be human. The Vorlax came as expected, a whirlwind of chaos and bending dimensions, only to find themselves ensnared in a labyrinth of quantum echoes. Through their meticulous preparation, Martin and his team had painted illusions that danced in the minds and sensors of the invaders. The Earth's presence split into multiple impossible reflections, each more confounding as the Vorlax struggled to locate the true beating heart of the anomaly they sought to conquer. The lab buzzed with constant updates as Tara deftly monitored the shadows ahead, leading Vorlax forces into snares intricately woven by intuition and technology. "Their formations are dissipating," Tara reported, a controlled calm underlining her voice as she continued to manage the false leads. "They're engaging diversions left and right." Amara coordinated with allied universes, establishing a network of barrier nodes that mirrored their protective intentions across dimensions. "The energy they've expended in pursuit of phantoms weakens their resolve," she noted, her calculations sharpening the shared resilience like a blade. Jin, amidst the unfolding chaos, reached out with words, offering the way of compromise to Vorlax intermediaries locked in the turmoil of tradition and aggression, grappling with the reality of what they faced. "We can coexist," he transmitted, the empathy in his voice transliterated into their alien syntax. Lucius kept their defenses nimble, adjusting to fluid scenarios as they unfolded. "Stay alert. They aren't beaten yet," he cautioned, a soldier not swayed by a premature dominance. As the confrontation stretched beyond the linear constructs of typical conflicts, Martin realized the elegance in a strategy that cradled their primary universe while protecting the broader multiverse too. Interests aligned as the echoes of many realities converged in a singularity of shared purpose. Soon, the Vorlax, once blinded by conquest, began to withdraw amidst a tide of understanding and reluctant acceptance. The harmony of the united universes was too strong to be broken. "We're turning a corner," Martin acknowledged, the energy different now, the fear dissipating into resolve. Diplomatic channels established by Jin began bearing fruit, a hesitant truce emerging from quieter, contemplative Vorlax minds realizing the benefits of accord, subsiding into whispers of new beginnings. As the cosmic tide shifted, Martin, surrounded by his steadfast team, knew that humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not as predators or passive observers, but as players, attendants to the infinite symphony of existence. Floating anew, the Quantum Tesseract, a beacon of aspiration, no longer a sword but a shared torch lighting pathways undiscovered, stood testament to the voyage they had completed and the journey yet ahead. Finally, gazing into the infinite web of possibilities stretched across the universe, Martin Alvarez felt the warmth of united endeavor, a patchwork of lives interwoven in threads of destiny, inception, the union of what is and what may be. With the same determination that initiated the exploration, the team resolved to continue their vigil, guardians preserving the delicate balance between innovation and unity. They had journeyed across dreams and worlds, only to realize that the bravest adventure of all was shaped by the timeless pursuit of understanding, connection, and the infinite dance of the cosmos.